All right, now on this paper, you need to start first with doing this example up here. So pause the video right now and do this example, and then go check it with the key. All right, so this example should be done, but you also need to go check it with the key. If you haven't checked this with the key, go check it with the key right now. All right, so we're going to continue talking about factoring, which you started learning in the last lesson, factoring your greatest common factor. Now we are going to factor a trinomial. Remember, a trinomial is a three-term polynomial. So factoring is the reverse of multiplying. So it's basically like you're dividing, but you can't just divide and get your answer. Okay, so we're going to have to use a couple of steps for how to do our factoring. So if you're given a trinomial, remember, three-termed polynomial, then when we need to factor it, our answer should look like what you were given in your 8.2 section. Our answers today are going to look like this. Okay, two sets of parentheses, some term with an x plus a constant, some term with an x plus a constant. This is what all of your answers should look something like. Okay, so we're going to factor 3x squared plus 13x plus 4. In order to factor these, first we have to have three terms. You have to have an x squared, then an x, and then a constant. Okay, if you don't have that, you can't factor using this method. Okay, next, your trinomial needs to be in standard form. Remember, that is biggest exponent to smallest. So you need to have your x squared, your x, and then your constant. Okay, so if we look back up here, we are in that form. If this was written in any other form, you would need to rearrange it. Also, combine like terms if you needed to combine like terms. Next, you need to point out, or you need to see, that we're going to say that the number in front of x squared is considered a, the number in front of x is b, and the constant we're going to call it c. Okay, so we're going to use those throughout the lesson. A is in front of x squared, b is in front of x, and c is your constant. So your trinomial needs to be in standard form. Check. Now we need to identify what a, b, and c are in our example. You need to pay attention to negatives if you have a negative. Okay, so a is the number in front of x squared, which for us is 3. So we're going to say a equals 3. B is the number in front of x, which is a positive 13. So if this is a minus sign, it would be a negative, but positive 13. So B for us is 13. And C is your constant, which for us is a positive 4. Once again, if this said minus, you'd say a negative 4. So C for us is 4. Okay? You need to make sure you can identify them, either writing them down like this, or up above your letters or your numbers, you could put A, B, C. So you could have done that also. Making sure you're paying attention to your negatives, as long as you can identify them. Step number 2, take A and C and multiply them. So we said A was 3 times C, which was 4. So 3 times 4 gives me 12. Okay, this is the number I'm going to use now. I need to use that 12. Okay, here's where that last example paper came in handy. You need to find the two numbers that multiplied to be the number you found in step 2, which was 12. And it needs to add to be whatever your B number is, which for us is 13. So A times C was 12. B is 13. So we need to figure out what two numbers multiply to get 12 and add to get 13. Okay, so remember, here's where you can make your little T-chart. We need to focus on the multiplying number and make our T-chart for that. So multiply to get 12, add to get 13. So remember, start with 1 times itself. 1 times 12. Two positives make a positive. 1 plus 12 does in fact give me 13. So our two numbers are 1 and 12. Okay? Step number 4. This is what our answer needs to look like. A set of parentheses with possibly a number in front of x, plus some constant, possibly a number in front of c, plus some other constant. We're going to place the numbers from step 3, these two numbers, in your parentheses where your constants were where the B and the D were. It doesn't matter which one you place where. I'm going to put the 1 here and the 12 in the other one, but you can put them in the other places. You could put 12 here and 1 here, and that doesn't matter. Okay? Next step, you're going to take those two numbers and divide those numbers by a, which remember is the number in front of your x squared, by a. So we're going to take our 1 and our 12 that we already had. We're going to divide them both by 3. You need to reduce the fractions if possible. Not just do the division, but if the fraction can reduce, you need to reduce it. So if you had like 2 over 4, that reduces to 1/2. You need to reduce it. Okay? So I have 1 over 3, which doesn't reduce, and it doesn't divide. So that is just 1 over 3. But 12 over 3 reduces, because it divides, to just be 4. Okay? Now, if your number is not divisible by a, so like this example right here, 1 was not divisible by 3, you're going to slide the denominator in front of x. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to slide the 3 in front of x. So this puts a 3x, and then I'm going to keep the numerator where it is. This one, it did reduce, so I don't need to put anything here, or you could put a 1. Plus, and I just had an answer of 4. My answer of 4 comes down here. So my answer, 3x plus 1, x plus 4. This is your factored answer. So come back up here, 3x squared plus 13x plus 4 factors to be 3x plus 1 times x plus 4. Okay? You can check yourself by doing your box. But I want to point out for this example, it's the one I gave you up here. So the answer you have here is supposed to match what we have here. Okay? But you can always check yourself by doing a quick little box, making sure it works. Okay? You can always check yourself if you want. That's how you factor. You're going to follow these steps. Okay? Now get on your agenda and see what you need to do next. You need to keep this paper out though, so you have all of your steps as you do your practice.